Join our growing community of listeners all around the globe by following Aloore Radio on all our social media platforms. On Facebook, Aloore Radio, YouTube, Aloore Radio. Visit our website on www.aloreradio.com. You can also download the Aloore Radio application on the Google Play Store by searching Aloore Radio. Call or send a message on 0903 985 3731.
Alright, you're welcome to yet another interesting edition of Aloore newspaper review, coming to you live from the GSM studio here at the Ministry of Information and Orientation, Secretariat Agodi, Ibadan. My name is Olamide Adeniji, and I'll be bringing you stories from two newspapers. I have the Nigerian Tribune here, and I also have the Punch newspaper with me. First, I'll bring you the headlines from each newspaper. And let me start with this that's right beneath the Nigerian Tribune mast, which says PDP Labour Party disagree with APC over INEC's assurance in Bayelsa Kogi Imo elections. And this is also coming from the Nigerian Tribune. Tinubu gives reasons why Supreme Court can't accept articles fresh evidence. And then World Food Day, Nigerians groan over persistent increase in price of food. And this very controversial story coming from page 28 of the Nigerian Tribune. Reps take delivery of new SUVs. I'll bring you that story too. And then from the Punch newspaper, Tinubu swears in new ministers as FEC meets today. Naira under pressure, Nigeria may seek dollar loan. That's coming from IMF. Fuel imports go up 843 billion naira. Stakeholders lament inactive refineries. Federal government spent 3.2 trillion naira on palliatives and loans. That's coming from the Punch newspaper. And then nightclub workers face prosecution for assaulting La Sepa officials. That's on page 6 of the Punch newspaper. Editors invite Tinubu to discuss economic crisis at Uyo conference. That's page 8 of the Punch newspaper. Pastor of 3 others caught with human skull in Ogun. That's on page 4 of the Punch newspaper. Israeli Hamas, Pope, China, UK demand end to civilian casualties. And so many interesting stories. I know that inside the Nigerian Tribune on page 8, NDE commences vocational training for youths in Oyo. And then on the front page of the Nigerian Tribune, there's this very beautiful picture of the Oyo State Governor Seyi Makinde, and Bishop of Ibadan North Anglican Diocese, Right Reverend Williams Alade Kugbe, during the 3rd year remembrance service of his mother, late Madam Abigail Makinde, held at the St. Peter's Cathedral, Aremo. And then the Polytechnic Ibadan commences distant learning program. That's also on page 28 of the Nigerian Tribune. On page 29 of the Nigerian Tribune, El Zaki bags honorary doctorate on peace conflict resolution from Iranian University. Lagos government seals off hospital for transfusing patients with unscreened blood. And Solid Minerals Interior Ministry partner to curb illegal mining, secure Nigeria's minerals. That's on page 29 of the Nigerian Tribune. And the Punch also has its own interesting stories too. Tinubu swearing ministers as Federal Executive Council meets today. Editors invite Tinubu to discuss economic crisis in Uyo. There's so many stories on both newspapers, news dailies today, which I'll bring to you. Stay tuned, and when we return, I'll bring you full details. Thank you.
From the great city of Ibadan, your number one online radio station. We are the voice of your state. Aloore Radio. Now, hear this. This is Aloore Radio, the voice of your state. Let us take you on a journey across continents as we bring you latest news, captivating stories, and diverse perspectives from around the globe. From breaking news headlines to fascinating features, discover the stories that shapes our society and the voices that demand to be heard. It's Newspaper Review on Aloore Radio. We bring you everything from breaking news.
President must know that this is a bad time for our nation. We must look for foreign support to save this nation.
World news, sport, music, and many more. To listen to our programs, follow us live on all our social media platforms on Facebook at Aloore Radio, Twitter and Instagram at Aloore Radio. You can also subscribe on our YouTube page on Aloore Radio. Make sure you click on the notification bell so you know when we are live. This is Aloore Radio, the voice of your state.
All right, you're welcome back to Newspaper Review, coming to you live from Aloore Studio here at the Ministry of Information, Culture and Tourism Secretariat. Here at the Ministry of Information and Orientation Secretariat at Agodi Ibadan. Okay, don't forget, you may join us on our Facebook Live. That's on Facebook, www.facebook.com/Aloore Radio. You could also subscribe to our YouTube channel at Aloore Radio. www.alooreradio.com is our website, and our mobile store. You can download our mobile app on the Google Play Store, and you could also call our studio line 0903-985-3731. Straight to the first story, which I'll be bringing from the second page of the Punch newspaper. NUT condemns overpopulation in state schools, lambasts governors. There is anger over the condition of public primary and secondary schools, many of which are overpopulated due to the failure of state governors to expand basic education facilities in their states. Several schools visited by our correspondent were bearing the brunt of the brunt of the neglect by the state authorities to make the necessary investments needed to upgrade and boost the aging amenities despite the increasing number of pupils. You may read more of that story on page 2 of the Punch newspaper. Fuel imports go up 843 billion naira. Stakeholders lament inactive refineries. The Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited may be spending about 843 billion naira monthly on the importation of premium motor spirit, popularly called petrol, following the halt in oil swaps by the firm. Findings showed on Sunday. You may read more of that story too on page 2 of the Punch newspaper. Let me quickly fly to the Nigerian Tribune, where the first story I'll be bringing to you is on page 28 of the Nigerian Tribune. Page 28 of the Nigerian Tribune says reps take delivery of brand new SUVs. Finally, members of the 10th session of the House of Representatives have started to receive the brand new 2023 Toyota Land Cruiser SUVs worth 77 billion naira. The Nigerian Tribune gathered at the weekend authoritatively. It says sources privy to the bureaucracy explained that the distribution of the vehicle started with the female lawmakers, followed by floor members, deputy chairmen, and principal officers will receive theirs last in that order. It was also gathered that the multi-billion naira contract was given out by a strong ex-lawmaker who was part of the leadership in the Ninth Assembly. Well, I don't know who that strong ex-lawmaker is, but I guess I know who it is. All right, you may pick a copy of the Nigerian Tribune and read this very controversial story on page 28 of the Nigerian Tribune. Then this next story on page 28 of the Nigerian Tribune says Polytechnic Ibadan commences distance learning program. The Polytechnic Ibadan has commenced open distance and flexible e-learning ODFEL. The rector of the institution, Professor Kazim Adebiyi, disclosed this recently while speaking at the matriculation of students admitted to the program for the 2023-2024 academic session. You may read more of that story on page 28 of the Nigerian Tribune. Okay, let me go straight to the Punch newspaper, where I'll pick this next story on just a minute. On the Metro page of the Punch newspaper, NDLEA nabbs wanted drug barons, seizes assets. Operatives of the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency have arrested 2 wanted heads of transnational criminal organizations, Okafor Williams and Akim Salami, with multi-billion naira worth of illicit drugs and assets seized from them after 2 weeks of intelligence-led operations across the country and outside Nigeria. Okay, you may read more of this story on the Metro page of the Punch newspaper. It's on and this is also coming from the Punch newspaper. Pastor, 3 others caught with human skull in Ogun. The pastor with the Christ Liberty Evangelism Church, Roscoe Yano Iyesi Ota Oyenekon Uluwa Sheyi, and 3 others have been arrested with a human skull in the Saje area of Abeokuta, the Ogun State capital. Punch Metro learnt on Sunday that Uluwaseyi and 3 others, 30-year-old Ibrahim Agbowewe, 40-year-old Sulaiman Ogunbumi, and 57-year-old Gafari Akinsoya were arrested by men of the state command in the early hours of Saturday. Survivor recounts ordeal as 3 die in Lagos crash. One of the passengers who survived a crash that involved a commercial bus and a truck in Lagos, Arigbabu Samuel, told Punch Metro that he narrowly escaped death. Okay, you may read more of that story on page 4 of the Punch newspaper. Pedestrians demand more footbridge on Lagos-Ibadan highway. Residents and pedestrians along the Lagos-Ibadan expressway have expressed concerns over the non-availability of pedestrian bridges at some major bus stops along the highway, saying the situation is contributing to the rising cases of accidents on the road. You may read more of that story on page 4 on the Metro page of the Punch newspaper. And then El Zaki bags honorary doctorate on peace conflict resolution from Iranian University. Sheikh Ibrahim El Zaki, leader of the Islamic movement of Nigeria, also known as Shiites, has been awarded an honorary doctorate by the University of Tehran in Iran. The event took place at a convocation organized by the university on Saturday, October 14. You may read more of that story on page 29 of the Nigerian Tribune. And then this next story, I'll bring you the next story from the Nigerian Tribune. Why journalists must refrain from falsehood blackmail. Pastor Akinade. Media practitioners in Nigeria have been enjoined to refrain from news that could bring down individuals, organizations, institutions, government, and the country based on falsehood and blackmail. The senior pastor of Christ Apostolic Church, Eagles Wings Assembly, Wakajayi Road, Iyano Church, Ibadan, Pastor Joseph Akinade gave the charge in the sermon entitled Role of Journalists in Nation Building, which he delivered during the church service as part of the activities to kick off the 2023 press week of the Nigerian Union of Journalists, or Your State Council. You may read more of that story. By the way, the Nigerian Union of Journalists, or Your State Council, has begun its one week press week, which started yesterday. So if you're a journalist, you could join us at the press center today, where we're going to declare the event formally open. All right, I'm bringing this next story from page 23 of the Nigerian Tribune. Parties disagree with APC over INEC assurance on electronic transmission. Timothy, okay, this is saying chieftains of major political parties have reacted to the pledge by the chairman of the Independent National Electoral Commission, Professor Mahmood Yakubu, to transmit electronically results of off-season governorship elections coming up next month in Kogi, Bayelsa, and Imo State. You may read more of that story on page 22 of the Nigerian Tribune. By the way, today is 1 year anniversary of Governor Abayomi Oyebanji of Ekiti State. Congratulations to him. We wish him best of luck in the remaining 3 years in office. 30,000 minimum wage. Bayelsa teachers threaten indefinite strike. The Nigerian Union of Teachers has threatened to commence indefinite strike in public primary and secondary schools in Bayelsa State over the 30,000 minimum wage and promotion arrears. The news agency of Nigeria reported that the union took the decision at an executive meeting on October 12 after an earlier 3-day warning strike failed to compel the state government to act. That's on page 8 of the Nigerian Tribune. And then this is also coming from the Nigerian Tribune. Maiduguri residents protest evacuation of railway coaches. Residents of Maiduguri, the Borno state capital, have protested against controversial evacuation of railway coaches out of the state. Nigerian Tribune gathered that there was a drama when some trucks at the weekend stormed the railway station and loaded a number of coaches before the police authorities arrested 6 persons, deflated the tires of the trucks, even as the Nigerian Railway Corporation authorities in Abuja issued a statement that the coaches were to be evacuated to Jos Plateau State for overhauling. Alright, you may read more of that story on page 8 of the Nigerian Tribune. NDE commences vocational training for youths in Oyo. Determined to bring succor to the unemployed youth in the country, the National Directorate of Employment (NDE) has commenced an intensive 3-month basic open apprenticeship scheme (BNOAS) training for 50 unemployed persons in Oyo State. You may read more of that story on page 8 of the Nigerian Tribune. And then this is coming from page 6 of the Nigerian Tribune. World Food Day. Nigerians groan over persistent increase in cost of food. says as Nigeria joins the rest of the world to commemorate this year's celebration of World Food Day, a good number of its citizens are lamenting the continued high cost of food, calling on government to act promptly by giving the necessary support to farmers in order for them to embark on aggressive production of food, which will translate to food sufficiency. Okay, you may read more of that story on page 6 of the Nigerian Tribune. Let me check the Punch if I still have some stories here. Lagos shuts hospital over unscreened blood. The Lagos state government has shut a private hospital at Ago Okota in Oshodi Solo school local government area of the state for allegedly collecting the transfusing unscreened and unlabeled blood to unsuspecting patients. That's dangerous. Alright, that's from the Metro page of the Punch newspaper. You can pick a copy and read more. Nightclub workers face prosecution for assaulting La Cepa officials. The Lagos State Commissioner for Environment and Water Resources, Tokumbo Wahab, on Sunday vowed to prosecute 11 employees of Temport's nightclub, 2A Admiralty Way, Lekki, for allegedly assaulting officials of the Lagos State Environmental Protection Agency, La Cepa. You may read more of that story on page 6 of the Punch newspaper. Then this next one is coming from page 7 of the Punch newspaper. Zamfara University directs students to relocate over bandits attack. The management of the Federal University Gusau, Zamfara State, has urged all students living in the Damba area to either relocate to Sabongida or stay within Gusau town, the state capital. Okay, you can read more of that sad story on page 7 of the Punch newspaper. I have some more stories on Lagos State government here, but I'm not gonna give them that luxury of I won't let them enjoy that luxury. So if you want to read more stories on Lagos State, you can pick a copy of the Punch newspaper. Editors invite Tinubu to discuss economic crisis at Uyo conference. The Nigerian Guild of Editors will interrogate the nation's economy at its 19th annual conference scheduled for between November 14 and 18, 2023 at Uyo Oka, Akwa Ibom State. You may read more of that story on page 8 of the Punch newspaper. Alright, there's so many stories. Okay, there's this advert on the Punch newspaper. Nigerian Army recruitment, 86 regular recruits, intake for trades and non-tradesmen and women. You may pick a copy of the Punch newspaper. You can see there might be a relative of yours that really wants to join the Nigerian Army. There's an opening, so please pick a copy and go and follow the guidelines. And then this is coming from the Punch newspaper, talking about the Israeli-Hamas war. Pope, China, UK demand end to civilian casualties. Pope Francis on Sunday renewed his calls for Hamas to release Israeli hostages and for Israel to spare Gaza civilians amid the ongoing warfare. Okay, you may read more of this sad story, very sad story. There's so many casualties in Israel and Palestine as we speak. You may pick a copy of the Punch newspaper to read more on this. Okay, at this juncture, I think I'm gonna call it a day. Thank you for staying tuned. Don't forget, you may join us on our Facebook page, Aloore Radio, on our website www.alooreradio.com, or log on to or subscribe on YouTube at Aloore Radio. Thank you very much. Do have a blessed week. Good night.
We bring you everything from breaking news,
The president must know that this is a bad time for our nation. We must look for foreign support to save this nation.
world news, sport, music,
I'm no vibe, Bella just want me with you like guys.
and many more. To listen to our programs, follow us live on all our social media platforms on Facebook at Aloore Radio, Twitter and Instagram at Aloore Radio. You can also subscribe on our YouTube page on Aloore Radio. Make sure you click on the notification bell so you know when we are live. This is Aloore Radio, the voice of Oyo State.